Listen, my spreadsheet is probably going to go into like the Metropolitan Museum of the Arts. That's how good it is.
It's not.
It's Coffee Social, the podcast all about social media and business. And now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Howard and Mimi Langley.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Jonathan Howard.
Hello, Mimi Langley.
Cheers!
Are you throwing crumpled up tissue paper? I wore a tuxedo and you're throwing crumpled up tissue paper at me.
Not only any crumpled tissue paper. This is fancy. This is from Target. You guys, oh my gosh, this is the season finale of season 1 for Coffee Social.
It is.
I gotta put this somewhere.
Next season finale, can we get like a famous guest?
I think that would be awesome. Who are we thinking?
Yeah, we'll do that. I don't know.
We're thinking The Rock?
No. Why would I think The Rock?
Gordon Ramsay?
No.
I mean, he could cook for us and be on the episode.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Okay. Never mind. Maybe we're not on the same page after all.
First of all, can you just tell people, like, you're wearing a legit tuxedo?
I am wearing a legit tuxedo.
Is that from Rent the Runway, or is that something you have?
No, I own it. It doesn't quite button. I need to lose a little bit of weight. Just a little bit, but I own it. I own a full tuxedo.
It kind of reminds me of like Dumb and Dumber, just the color. That's what it is.
It's blue. It's a traditional blue. I mean, I'm wearing a sparkly blue cap and a plaid tie.
Cute.
But
it's cute. If you don't know what I'm seeing, you go on the YouTube channel. Yeah, and you can watch. I mean, like, look at, like, I'm wearing like silver. Like,
you're wearing silver.
My earrings. I have presents as earrings.
We're fancy.
We're celebrating, man. We have made it to 22 episodes.
And I have not killed Mimi.
And I have not killed Jonathan. And look at, I brought back the banner that you love.
You brought back the banner.
We'll see
the
how long
banner
it
that
lasts.
falls.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's cheers, my friend. It is a well-deserved cheers, not just for us, but for the listeners of Coffee Social.
Yes.
So
if they like us. If not, then sorry.
Don't cheers.
Don't cheers. Tip that cup up, please.
Wait, hold on. Let me drink and then you can see. Hold on.
Mimi has not washed that cup all season. All season, it still has the tag on the bottom.
It does not have the tag on the bottom. Let's be real. Anyways, I just want to do this one more time. Can I do it one more time?
Yeah, there you go.
That was so fun. Oh my gosh,
I'll
you guys.
use it for a transition or something.
All right, so before we dive in, today we're going to be talking about kind of, just in case you're thinking about podcasting for your business, what we're going to be doing in the waiting period between now that season 1 has ended and before we start filming for season 2. Like, what are we going to be doing in between? I thought that we were going to be sleeping and getting a bunch of rest, but there's a list, and we're going to go over it.
There is a list, and we're going to do it all.
We're going to go over it, you guys, so stick with us. But real quick, just in case someone is new and they stumbled upon episode 22 of Coffee Social, who are you, Jonathan?
They like starting from the back and going forward to see our reverse progression.
Why not?
Why not? So you can do that in the off season. So my name is Jonathan Howard. I'm the owner of Success on Social, and I help successful female coaches reach their ideal clients on social media through their story and building a signature style and eventually changing the world. So that's who I am. And Mimi is going to introduce herself now.
I was trying to like lip sync your ending right there. I don't know if you caught
Good
that,
job.
but yeah, I was very off. Hey everyone, I'm Mimi Langley.
I mixed it up.
I teach women in business how to host rooms, how to moderate on social audio. That includes LinkedIn audio and Clubhouse. It's really a great way to grow your business from the ground up, gain that visibility, make sales, grow the email list, all the good things. We'll have our important links in the show notes or the description below for you. Okay, Jonathan Howard.
Okay, Mimi Langley. You ready?
I wonder how much coffee we've drank through this whole
Too
season.
much coffee.
Like, how many cups are we thinking?
Well, at least 22.
I'm feeling 22.
Yeah, she's pretending to be a Taylor fan now. You'll have to watch episode 21 for that one.
Love Taylor Swift. Okay, let's jump into it. So real quick, we do want to say thank you. And this might bore you, but we have to thank the people that have supported us. You guys listening to the podcast, especially the ones that listen the whole way through. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have no idea. What do you want to say to the people, our listeners?
Oh, I have to be nice.
Be nice.
No, really, honestly, thank you. Thank you for the reviews. Thank you for all the kind comments. Thank you for even the things that said, hey, maybe you should do this. Like, I appreciate that because we're new to this. We're bringing you along for the ride with us. Like, when we're telling you the things we're doing in off season, it's because we learned that these are probably things we should do in the off season to get more exposure. We didn't know this. We're brand new at podcasting. So we're bringing you along for the ride with us.
I love that. It's the truth. It is the truth. And speaking of reviews, if you haven't left one yet, we just want to do a shameless plug right now while you're listening. Please leave a review. You can review on Apple Podcasts if you have an iPhone. If you know someone who has an iPhone, go ahead and get over there and just drop a sentence, drop some emojis, whatever Apple will allow you to do. Go ahead and drop that review. We appreciate it. And rate. You can rate on Spotify. You can rate on Apple. And then, of course, we have the YouTube channel. So have to shout those out. Let's dive in real quick before
But don't be Bob.
But don't be Bob. Inside joke. If you've been listening to episodes, you'll know what we're talking about. But before we dive into kind of what we're going to do during off season, can we just like from each of us, you and me, Jonathan, one key takeaway that you've learned, because this is our first season of a podcast ever, like a key takeaway?
I would say, the more prepared for a show you are, the worse it's going to go. So use your notes as a guide, but don't plan everything out. That would be the one thing that I've learned. The more prepared I am, the worse the show goes. So,
like, do you find yourself kind of being more robotic where you have to like look at the sheet and like read off of it? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like, I'm reading off the sheet. I'm going, okay, I need to ask this question now. Okay. I need to say this thing. Don't miss this point. Like, and that's not as comfortable as generally our conversations are. We generally are bouncing back and forth. We have an outline, but we're just generally bouncing back and forth our ideas.
I agree. I definitely have an outline. Like, I have it here. I put make a plan, right? Like, plan how like what you want the show to be about. Like, have some kind of format and bullet points of what you want to talk about. But this is what I always say. This is especially like when I'm teaching social audio, whatever is going to get you to upload the podcast episode. So if it is you reading from a script, then it's you reading from a script, like whatever's going to get you into motion. That's my take.
Yeah. When you want to get into motion, because Mimi and I are both like about getting into motion, doing the things that are going to move us forward. So in a lot of ways, we've already got that motion that we knew we're going to upload these podcasts, whether it come hell or high water. They're coming every other Thursday while we're releasing them. But you know, if you're not that type of person, you need to have something that's going to get you moving. And I think it's also very similar to the way Mimi will have her outline for her rooms, like when she does on social audio. And I go into a room and I go, I know what I'm talking about. Here's the 3 things I want to say. And then I'm done. If nobody else has questions, I'm done. So I kind of wing it a lot more often, although I wouldn't call it winging it because I do know like where I want to focus. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to your personality type. But at the end of the day, just have some kind of guideline, like of how you want to, you know, what you want to include in the episode. Because then you're going to you're going to be like, oh, crap, I should have included that. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. A key takeaway from me, Jonathan. Well, you have been a key takeaway.
Oh, I'm so charming and wonderful.
I'm like, where are my tissues? I know I'm going to cry at some point in this episode, but no, really, like finding someone, if you are planning on having like some kind of collaborative podcast, like even if it's a guest, finding someone that you can really bounce, like have that magic sauce with, that's just priceless. But I think putting it on a calendar, like really scheduling it out and being committed, like if you say you're going to do 10 episodes in the first season, commit to it and figure out how you can work it within your schedule, your season of business. Really, I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, I think that's a great one because it's so, and I don't think we would have hit 22 episodes if they weren't, okay, on these days we have our guests. On these days we're doing Monday recordings and we're doing 2 of them at a minimum. Like we wouldn't have hit the 22 if we weren't that scheduled and particular about it.
Yeah. Now is the time to be particular. Okay. We talked about key takeaway. Let's jump into this list. I call this the CVS receipts of lists, what we're going to do off season between now And when we launch season 2, which by the way, we still haven't talked about when the release date will be, but make sure you're following us on Instagram. You'll be one of the first to know when we're dropping season 2.
We'll probably put it in the end of this one once we get there.
Okay. So Jonathan, do you want to just kick off? Like, what is the plan for you? Like at least one thing on the list you want to talk about.
Why don't I talk about why there has to be an off-season plan quickly?
Yeah.
Which I think is because as you're doing a podcast, we feel like, especially during on-season, we're recording an episode, editing an episode, sending it to Mimi to review, coming back, uploading the episode. You're doing stuff constantly. So the thought during on-season of guesting on other people's podcasts, of gaining the exposure, of even posting on our Instagram is sometimes exhausting. Like the thought of doing another thing, because this is
our own businesses.
Right. I was going to say, this is not our only business. We, if we were only doing podcasts, okay, maybe we could swing it, but we have a lot of other things going on in our own businesses. So, running all that and then guesting and doing all those things is overwhelming. So when we're not recording and uploading and doing all those things is a great time for us to promote the podcast and build the audience and let people know that this is what we're doing. Because it was so much easier before we started the podcast to promote the podcast.
I mean, I agree with you on that. And also, we have something under our belt. Like we finished a whole season of a podcast and we have found our signature style in a lot of ways. And, so I think now what we're going to be doing in the off season is like we're kind of clearer on what the vision is when we present it to people. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. And we know, like we can say our podcast is about social media and business from the viewpoint of we're doing the shit with you.
Yep.
It wouldn't be an episode if I didn't curse.
SHIT. Okay.
Yeah. We're doing it with you. So come along on the journey with us. We might be a few steps ahead. We might be a few steps behind, but come along on the journey with us. That's kind of where the podcast centers. So.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Well, I love that you explained it because I was not even thinking of an off season. I was kind of going to go with the flow.
Ooh, she's on the beach sipping her pina colada.
Well, should I present it now?
Yeah.
And the award goes to Vacay.
Not Mimi Langley.
If you're watching the YouTube channel, run over there right now. If you're not, I have a Vacay bag. Shout out to, where did I get this? Walmart. Shout out to Walmart. But yeah, I was thinking honestly, and that's on the list. 100% it's on the list. And that is, and hopefully for Jonathan, it's important to rest and just take a break for a second. Like I know there's a lot going on and a lot we need to do because honestly, the break is not going to be that long. Right. Like before we know it, we're like, oh, back to filming. So I think we have to, as a business owner in general, you have to put that on the calendar to just like have a little bit of self-care, have a little bit of a break for yourself. So that's on my list of what I'm doing during off season.
This is on Mimi's list as well, although she's not going to accept it yet, but we're going to be guesting on other podcast episodes because it's a great way to get to know other people in the industry, get to see how other people do things, and get yourself out there as, again, the expert that you want to be known as. Really gaining the exposure and gaining the experience because it's always good to be a guest and be interviewed by people and connect with people and all those things and maybe find one or two of them that would be amazing guests on our podcast. So guesting, I think, is a great way to just get out there. So if you're starting a podcast, or maybe you haven't started a podcast, but you're thinking about it, you're not sure, maybe guesting on some people's podcasts so that you can get to know what a podcast is like is a great way to kind of go about it.
I love that, Jonathan. And when you're on a podcast, those are your listeners in a sense, because they're fans of audio. And so it's not going to hurt you, and you have to obviously make sure, depends on whose, podcast you're getting on. You want to make sure at least your target audience is somewhat listening, but I agree with you. I think it's great for exposure. I think it's great for the creator of the podcast because they have a great episode for their listeners. So it's a win-win on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to talk about what we're doing next? Because I know this one was, you're excited about actually.
Oh, the conference.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Wait, do we want to get really detailed? Like, I don't know. Okay, so myself and Jonathan, this is our first podcast conference ever, but we're going to a podcast conference, you guys. It's going to be in the month of August. It's going to be in Washington, D.C., USA. All right. And we're excited. Jonathan, this is first of all, this is my first ever like real conference ever. Like I am I cannot wait. I'm already picking out like the outfits I want to wear. Like, let's go. But what is it do you think that we're going to gain from this during off season?
So much. I think it's a great opportunity to just get to learn more about podcasting, to see how other people are doing things, to figure out like what is it about this title that does better than this title? What analytics should we be looking at? And then also seeing how people are doing some of the new things that are out there. How are they using AI in podcasting? I don't like AI, but how are they doing that? What are they focusing on when they're editing? Do they have an amazing editor they want to recommend? Like all of those things, or what are they seeing? I go to a Clubhouse room every morning. Like, what are they seeing? Like, are intros no longer important, or are your show notes no longer important, or whatever it might be? We get the up-to-date information and get to meet people. And I think that's one of the best things about conferences.
Yeah, I love the idea of meeting people. It's been a long time since I've actually done an in-person kind of networking. I'm so used to doing virtual. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for the classes. I'm really excited to just focus. I think that's the biggest thing, because you can obviously go on YouTube and watch a bunch of videos or buy a course, but there's so many distractions when you're in your own environment. So the fact that we're going to be solely, this is what it is for those 4 days. It's strictly podcast stuff. Yep. I'm excited.
Yep. And networking, because there's probably a ton of people there that maybe would be amazing guests. We might be amazing guests on their podcast, all those things.
Yeah, I agree. I love it. I'm so excited for the conference. Are we bringing business cards and wearing Coffee Social t-shirts?
We are not getting t-shirts. I don't know if you saw in that comment on LinkedIn. We're not getting t-shirts. I would do a digital business card, because who uses real business cards?
A lot of people do. We'll talk about that.
I don't think so.
We'll talk about that. Okay, let's go ahead. I know we want to keep these episodes digestible, but we have more on the list. So we are going to be starting a Patreon. Surprise, everybody. Happy last episode of season 1. We're going to be starting a Patreon.
We are?
Yeah. Wait.
Okay.
Here.
There's something new.
Seriously, I'm really, really excited. A lot of creators use Patreon. I don't have any experience with that platform, but I think what we have for you guys, because we have a lot of dedicated listeners and we appreciate you very much, and we want to give you something a little extra. And so we are planning on doing a Patreon during the off season, at least getting it built. So what does that mean? Is that Star Wars?
No, I'm raising my hand.
What do you want to say?
Is that more work?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, this whole season off is work, except for my little break in there. The power of the pause. Okay, so we have that. Other things I was thinking of. One, I have to get a new blanket. So during off season, I'll probably choose a different color.
She doesn't need a new blanket because she's wearing that blanket every episode. I put effort into my clothes.
Yeah, I know. But also, well, now that we have a little bit more time on our hands, like from the time that we allot for podcast stuff, I think definitely kind of preparing more posts for Instagram, don't leave them hanging, for a long time. Substack, I've been looking into that. I know Jonathan's like, you're going to put us everywhere. And I know.
We're not doing Patreon and Substack, period.
Not at the same time?
No. Too much.
Okay, what about Pinterest?
You can do Patreon because it'll make us money, and then maybe you can get your merch, but that's...
Okay, we'll talk about this behind the scenes, but that's on my list. This is all new. I didn't know that Jonathan didn't see my notes before the episode.
I did, but I crossed them mostly out.
Why is everything disappearing? Anywho, I mean, is there anything else in the off season that, you propose, or is it really the main things is guesting and being at that conference?
Guesting, being at that conference, and working through some of our workflows that don't necessarily work the best that they can. Yeah. And Mimi's spreadsheet. And you've all heard me talk about Mimi's spreadsheet.
That's going to take me like 3 months to redo.
I know, because it's so huge. It's like 4 million pages long, and I can never find where the notes are. Then the other day I was asking her where the show notes are because I was on the show notes page, and she goes, they're not on there. And I almost beat her.
Listen, my spreadsheet is probably going to go into like the Metropolitan Museum of the Arts. That's how good it is.
It's not. Again, we think differently. I don't think in spreadsheet format, and just finding stuff on there makes me blah, blah, blah.
That's definitely something to bring up, though. I mean, obviously during the off season, we're going to have a ton of meetings with each other, and we're going to have a game plan for episode 2, like season 2.
Season 2.
Yeah, for season 2, where we also have to plan out our topics, and there's so much like that kind of goes into our last point of like what to expect for season 2, Jonathan. I know we're coming to our time, but is there anything that you want to shout out that we want to try out maybe? I know we were talking about maybe having even shorter episodes at one point.
We were thinking about having like even shorter episodes. Mimi wants to do her really long episode.
I at least want to have one in season 2 where it's 3 hours.
But I think today on Instagram Live, everybody said no. So I think we definitely are looking at doing at least one roundtable episode for entrepreneurs, like just kind of giving advice based on what their industry is and stuff like that. That might be a slightly longer episode. And I think just playing around with what we've got that works, and seeing how we can make it even a little bit better, a little more entertaining, so we're not getting boring for you.
Right.
And all those things. And, maybe we'll see, maybe a new intro, maybe a new, way we're doing things. Maybe we will stop asking the question because we can't actually figure out the answer to it.
We'll talk about that question if you don't know. Now you'll know.
Now you'll know.
Oh my gosh, that question. Just tell us, people.
Mimi doesn't like not winning.
I just want to throw out some more episode ideas that we've thought about doing, bringing someone on to talk about the balance between work and home relationships. I think that's so important, especially if you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything on your own. Like, you can work really long hours and not even realize. And so we don't want you to jeopardize your relationships. We're going to talk about coming back from a hiatus. Like, I think that's a huge deal because a lot of people are taking breaks because of burnout. So, I want to talk about that for sure. And then, there's other things like Jonathan mentioned, the roundtable content creation. I think we should definitely put on for season 2, talk about content creation a little bit more. But anywho,
Jen Bassman, we need Jen Bassman on.
Oh, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. For burnout. Shout out to Jen. I'm just so stinking excited. Cheers again, Jonathan Howard, for a beautiful season 1. Would not want to do this with anybody else except for Gordon Ramsay. Cheers.
No, I'm not cheersing to
except
that.
for The Rock. Cheers.
I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else except for these 17 people.
Justin Timberlake. Cheers. Just Jonathan Howard. Just you,
See what I deal with?
They couldn't handle my personality. Let's be honest.
I can't handle it either, but
I can't handle it most days. So. All right, Jonathan, you want to go ahead and wrap us up?
Sure. Am I wrapping it up the way I normally wrap it up? Because we already did that. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it that way. So if you guys have not already rated us on your favorite platform that you can rate us on, or just go to Apple, steal somebody's iPhone and go to Apple Podcasts and rate us 5 stars, because Mimi doesn't appreciate it if you rate us anything less than 5 stars. She cries. Sarah McLachlan comes on, Arms of the Angel. It's really sad. You can't
I always
sing
sing the wrong song. I always sing the wrong song.
And you can't sing it. We don't have the rights to it. But if you haven't already, please give us a rating. Also, check us out on YouTube, on Instagram, or anywhere else that we might be, because Mimi's apparently putting us on every platform in the world. And over to you, Mimi. What did I miss? I missed something.
I'm going to do it secretly. Okay. Jonathan, I have to ask the question, and people have to answer it eventually. We can't just keep asking. Okay. Are you team Mimi? I can handle it. Are you team Mimi, or are you
team Jonathan, which everybody is?
Everybody's team Mimi. Okay. One last time for the viewers. Woo!
Because the viewers love seeing tissue paper.
Target. All right, Jonathan Howard. Thank you, everyone, so much. We'll see you in season 2, everybody. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jonathan Howard.
Bye, Mimi Langley. Bye at 22 episodes.